Hi 7th graders. Today we're working on lesson 6.2.3, solving equations and recording work. Make sure you have your book and your homework out and you open your book to page 346. Pause the video if you need a minute to write down your title. Lesson 6.2.3, how can I record it? Solving equations and recording work. In this lesson, you will continue to improve your skills of simplifying and solving more complex equations. You will develop ways to record your solving strategies so that another student can understand your steps without seeing your equation mat. Consider these questions as you work today. How can I record the steps I use to solve? How can I record what is on the equation mat after each step? So our first problem is 71. Jean and Adrian were using algebra tiles to solve equation. Adrian was called away. Help Jean finish by completing the table shown below and on your resource page. So you see on mat A, I start with 2x plus 2 times 2x plus 1 plus negative 3x plus negative 6. Then I have on mat B, 4x plus 3 plus negative 3 plus x plus 8. So step 1, it says I need to use the distributive property. So I see that I have the distributive property here on mat A. I'm going to distribute the 2 onto each of the things inside of the parentheses. And I have no distributive property on mat B. So I need to rewrite everything in the equation except for I'm going to solve the distributive property. So I'm going to rewrite 2x plus 2 times 2x would be 4x plus 2 times 1 is 2. So I want to make sure that makes sense. The distributive property means I distribute what's outside the parentheses on the inside. So I do 2 times 2x plus 2 times 1. Okay, so I will keep going with the rest of the equation here. So after I do the distributive property, I'm just going to copy the rest of the problem as it is, because the only thing in the step says to do is use the distributive property. Okay, and then I'm going to do mat B. That will remain the same also because there is no distributive property for me to solve on that side. Okay, so now on the next step, I need to say what they did. So I see that I start with this longer equation, and then I only end up with one x number and one whole number, and one x number and another whole number. So that, if you remember, that's called combining like terms, because I combined all of the x's, and then I combined all of the integers. So step 2 would be combining like terms. Step 3 says I need to subtract 3x from both sides. So if I subtract 3x from mat A, I'd end up with only negative 4 left. If I subtract 3x from mat B, I'd end up with 2x plus 8. Okay. So now the next step, I need to say what they did. So I see on mat A, I go from negative 4 to negative 12. So I'm not sure what they did on that side, but if I look on mat B, on here I start with 2x plus 8, and then I only end up with 2x. So then I think they must have gotten rid of the 8 by subtracting 8. And if I subtract 8 on this side, I end up with 0. If I subtract 8 on this side, I end up with a negative 12. So what they must have done in this step was subtract 8 from both sides. Okay. And then finally, this step tells me I need to divide both sides by 2. So if I divide mat A by 2, I'd end up with negative 6. If I divide mat B by 2, I'd end up with just a single x. So this way is nice because you can see each step exactly what happened each time, and that would help someone understand your thinking. 72 says Adrian was frustrated that he needed to solve so much when solving an equation. He decided to come up with a shortcut for recording his work to solve a new equation. As you look at Aiden's recording at right of how he solved 2x plus 4 equals negative 12 below, visualize on an equation mat with algebra tiles. Then answer the equations for each step below. So A, so you're going to think about your algebra tiles, what they would have done. What legal move does writing negative 4 twice represent? So here I'm taking away 4 on the left and I'm taking away 4 on the right. So there, that would mean that's called balanced sets, because I'm taking away 4 units on the left on mat A and 4 units on mat B. So this would be balanced sets. What legal move does circling the 4 and the negative 4 represent? That would mean I'm doing zero groups, because a positive 4 and a negative 4 would end up with zeros. What does the box around the 2 over 2 represent? So that means I'm dividing my x's actually, into 2 groups. So instead of having 2x, I'm dividing one into one group and one into another group. Why did Aiden divide both sides by 2? That goes back to what we've talked about all year. Whatever you do to one side, you must do to the other. So any operations you do to one side, you have to do to the other to make them remain equal. E says check Aiden's solution in the original equation. Is his solution correct? So this is going back to checking our work. So our original equation is 2x plus 4 equals negative 12. And now he's saying that x is equal to negative 8. So I'm going to replace x with negative 8. If at any point you need to pause so that you can write all this down, you feel free to. So then 2 times negative 8 would give us negative 16. And then I'm still adding 4, and that's still equal to negative 12. Then on the left, negative 16 plus 4, so I'm going farther towards my positives on the number line, would give me negative 12 equals negative 12. So yes, his solution is correct. Again, this checking work is really important to make sure that x truly does equal 8, and this is the best way to try out and check your work, is seeing if it really does equal 8 when you plug it into your solution. Okay, now you need to finish problems 73 and 74 today. You won't have homework tonight. Your only job for the rest of class is to finish these 2 problems.